Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DOS Way. I am your host, Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State Tahesha Way, and as always, we're going to have a great conversation today about the work of state government and how it impacts the 9.5 million people of our phenomenal state. And today's topic is about the arts, and I am forever delighted that the one and only, our great governor and arts governor, Phil Murphy, is joining me. So thanks for being with me, Governor.
Tahesha, I am thrilled to be here. I love the fact you're doing this, and I love the DOS way.
Yes. And also, I know we go way back, right? Not that way back, but still, we've been working with one another for 7 years.
Correct.
First,
since day one.
That's right. In my capacity as New Jersey Secretary of State, and I thank you for that.
One of the best decisions I ever made.
Yes, and now we're working together as Gov and LG. We'll be coming on, 2 years in September, right?
Yes.
All right. And you know, for the audience out there, one of the passions folk need to know that we share is our love of the arts.
That is correct.
Now, I love that my Arts Council and State Museum are housed at the Department of State, and I also know you are a huge arts supporter. But first, what's your
drum roll?
Here's the drum roll,
Yes.
everyone. What's your own background in the arts?
Yeah, so I'm a recovering thespian. I was an actor. And a friend of mine named Paul Elkins suggested, first of all, I played Jesus in fourth grade in some kind of a Passion, version of the Passion.
Amen.
But
to
the
that.
bigger sort of, not that's pretty big, but
Yes, it is.
the sort of more longer chapter is my good childhood friend Paul Elkins suggested that we try out for basically what was a middle school musical.
Nice.
Which was for me, that was 7th or 8th grade. And I acted through graduate school, actually. I ran a bunch of different organizations, the biggest one of which is the Hasty Pudding Theatricals, which
Correct.
is at Harvard University. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. A classmate and I were the first 4-year performers in that organization's history, which was very, very cool. And that's not the only window into the arts. I love to go as a spectator. I love music. I love film. New Jersey is the arts state, the talent state in arts. But that was a big chapter in my young life. And by the way, not irrelevant to say, it gave me, because you know how plays are, Tahesha, something always goes wrong. Somebody forgets a line, they fall down doing the musical, doing the tap dance routine, a piece of stationery falls down. All of that happened to me multiple times. So you have to think on your feet because it's a live audience, and that helps me to this day. You and I both know this. You can't predict every event you're going to go to, every moment, and having an ability to be nimble is one of the things that I really took from that.
That's true. You know, I even say similarly, I wasn't an actress, okay, but...
Would have been a good one.
Thank you. But in high school, I was in the marching band.
Yeah, similar.
I played the glockenspiel.
I love that.
You know, that's the bells, the silver bells.
When are we rolling a glockenspiel in here? I'm looking at the team here.
Yeah, and then
not.
I became drum majorette, but
you're performing, right?
There you go, performing. And to your point, sometimes the others in the band may be off key and you have to improvise and pivot. So I truly agree with you. But now, let's talk about how your love for the arts translates into policy.
Yep.
I know that when we came into office, how you were thinking about the arts in terms of support from, the state government. So how has that been your approach throughout the years? And we know COVID came into play, so how did it change?
COVID's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. First of all, you've been awesome because the Arts Council is ultimately working for you, reporting to you. So you start with sort of a couple of basic philosophical tenets. I think you wake up every morning, you look in the mirror, and you're cold-bloodedly honest with yourself. Who are you? Who are you not? What can you be? What can you not be? My example is not in the arts, forgive me, is I'm going to die trying to get cars and trucks made again in New Jersey, but I fear I'm going to die trying. But when I look in the mirror, and I'm at the state of New Jersey, in a cold-blooded assessment, the arts jump out. We are the talent state. Our location doesn't hurt. The emphasis on the arts over the years, how arts are integrated into our communities. We're coming at you folks from the Brick City, Newark, New Jersey, which is as good an example of that as any, I'd argue, in America, but certainly in New Jersey. And so we just committed, we should talk separately about film, television, North to Shore and all that stuff. But in terms of the Art Council, in the budget, supporting the arts, not something sort of as a nice to have, but viewing it as a central element of how we see our society and even our economy. And as you rightfully, lastly, I'll say, as you rightfully point out, during COVID, a lot of states ran from the arts because they were scrambling, their economies were crushed, including ours. We had a different approach. We said, you know what? We think this is a time to double down on the arts. People need the arts more than ever before, given what ended up being over 35,000 loss of precious life in the state. And so that put us almost, ironically, on a different plateau, and we've stayed up there since. And again, you've been a great leader in this, and that's not going to change.
Yeah, it's been, to your point, it's been a team approach with all of this, with your great leadership. And I know the Arts Council, they do phenomenal work, not just with the recovery from COVID, but now, right, making certain that the arts is still part of us to reflect, to go in a certain space in which we can just be ourselves and see ourselves. I know some folk in your audience at Hasty Pudding, when you were acting, they could see themselves theatrically through you. So,
kind of a frightening thought, I have to say, but that's probably true.
I know. But, it's great that we have this creative economy, especially at Department of State. I have the arts, Business Action Center, even our historical. They are a nice confluence, right, to build up our economy. Now, getting back to the arts, one of the reasons, and you mentioned it, we're talking now is because I wanted to get a chance to highlight the 3rd annual North to Shore Festival, which is happening next month across all of New Jersey. So can you talk to us about the initial vision and the idea of it all?
I love this, by the way, and thank you for asking. So there are very few things that I would say I was personally responsible for, like I was the only person in the room when X or Y happened. This is at least the early idea. This is my wife and I. Very simply, we looked at the very successful, and by the way, we're huge fans of South by Southwest, which takes place in and around Austin, Texas. And it's been out there for decades, and it's a great convening for the arts, music, etc. But I have to say, 2 footnotes on that. Number one, no state has more talent than we have, including Texas.
100%. And
secondly, no state has the values that we have or the diversity that we have. And we said, you know what, when you combine those 2 points, the talent, and I would parentheses location, and secondly, the fact that we are incredibly proud of our Jersey values, Tammy and I said to each other, hey, wait a minute. It's a little bit like Judy Garland saying, hey, we could put on a show. But that's kind of what it was. Why, if they can do it, why can't we do it? And as you rightfully point out, this June will be the 3rd year. It'll be once again in Atlantic City, Asbury Park, and right here in Newark, New Jersey. The Atlantic City angle will be largely community-based, entertainment and arts and celebration of the arts, which seems to really fit Atlantic City because Atlantic City already has the big halls with the big names in the casinos. So that's something, if you think about complementary programming, that seems to make sense there. Asbury Park is one of America's great towns. It's got a huge musical and arts heritage, the Stone Pony, among other locations. And then, of course, Newark is the big stage in New Jersey. And you'll see some commensurate acts and names that fit in with each of those venues and communities. And this is literally hundreds of thousands of people will go to these events. I just think it's a home run, and folks, it's coming at us, and literally there are hundreds of different events, big, medium, and small. Cannot wait.
What are you looking forward to attending this year?
Well, the big one for me is Bleachers, because Jack Antonoff is a Bergen County guy. He's a musical phenom. That's his band, but he's far more known for being probably the music industry's biggest name producer. Jack has become a friend. He and I have a text relationship largely. And Bleachers is, and I could give you a lot of different answers to this, but I'm picking one. It's going to be the Stone Pony on June 28th. Bleachers, the energy and the sort of propulsiveness of the music reminds me of 1972 or 3 circa Bruce Springsteen.
Oh,
It's that
nice.
kind of energy and that kind of like a wall coming at you. Jack's a great front man. He's a great guy. He's a Jersey guy. He loves Bergen County, loves Jersey. So June 28th, I hope the Stone Pony gives you a meal cut of the action here. We're hitting this so hard. June 28th on the outdoor summer stage.
That's right.
Bleachers.
I know last year I went to a night of love with Keisha Cole in Atlantic City. Oh, yeah.
Good?
Oh, it was good. It was fantastic. And I
that.
know this year I'm excited about the Black Creative Summit.
Yep.
Economy that's happening the weekend of Juneteenth from the 18th through the 20th
Mark
at
that
Newark
down,
Symphony
folks.
Hall. Indeed.
Yep.
And then I am so looking forward to attending Amy Poehler and Tina Fey's comedy show.
So there were two. First of all, Big Daddy Kane, I'm a huge fan of. He's part of this. I think he's in Newark, so let's give him a shout out.
I did not know that one.
I'm breaking news right now.
I got it. Oh.
So, and then there are 2 monster comedy shows in Newark. One of them is Tina and Amy. The other one is John Mulaney, Pete Davidson, and I think Jon Stewart.
Correct.
Triple header.
Correct.
How about that, ladies?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said I was going to bring my third daughter, Faith, right, to this show because she is a jokester. She's the queen in my house of telling the dad jokes. Do you want to hear one of them?
I do, but why don't you consider getting her opening for Tina and Amy?
Yeah,
Think
you know,
about that. Give us a joke.
I'm going to tell you one of her jokes, her dad jokes. So this was when Fiona, dear Fiona, she was 4 years old.
Okay.
She would come home every day from daycare with the same joke. And she would say, "Mommy, Faith, why did the chicken cross the road?" And we would say, "Why, Fiona?" "Because it was stuck to the other chicken." So Faith was exhausted from it all. To shut this down, Faith said, "Okay, Fiona, why did Adele cross the road?" And we were like, "Why?" She said, "Because she wanted to say hello from the other side." So as we're moving on,
Boom. Boom.
Faith has been the jokester. But aside from all of that, I also want to go, hopefully, to see the one and only George Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Atomic Dog
You
and
betcha.
the Funkadelic, glasses,
You betcha.
all the lights
George
going.
Clinton's a great example of somebody who's had enormous impact
Yes.
for generations of talent that have, taken a thread of what he's been doing over the years, and he's a pioneer. I'm a huge fan.
Yes. So we've spoken about North to Shore arts, and this really dovetails too, still in this realm, which is another part of your historic legacy, Gov.
Oh my Lord.
Film,
yes.
Yes. Now, movies are part of the festival, but they are even bigger here in Jersey right now. Credit to you and the First Lady. And you always correctly note how the film industry actually started in Fort Lee. So let's talk about the renaissance happening with our film industry right now.
So you're absolutely right. Film invented in Fort Lee, New Jersey, in Bergen County. For reasons I'm not sure I understand, we used to have a pretty robust film incentive package in New Jersey before we got here. My predecessor did away with it. The problem I have with that is some incentives, rightfully, you get paid back for them over a long period of time. When you make a film or you shoot a television series or program, the return in the economy is, in many cases, immediate. It doesn't all come back to the state by any means, but the state, you and I have talked about this, I think our job in something like that is to put, as they say, chum in the water.
Correct.
That jumpstarts an industry, and that we all in the state benefit from that as opposed to the state government only. And so we said, you know what? Again, film invented here, talent, our location, big union industry, and we're a big union state for so many reasons. We got at it right away. We've migrated, we've tweaked these programs every year since we've been in office. And the big migration has been from making stuff in New Jersey, which we still do and we still love to do. Steven Spielberg has been in New Jersey the past couple of weeks working on a film project. So we still love that. But the big migration over the past 7+ years is, in addition to making stuff, to building bricks and mortar sound stages and studios. And the big three, there are more than three, but the big three are Netflix is going to build a 300-acre campus in Monmouth County on the site of the former Fort Monmouth. Lionsgate is building a big campus right here in the Brick City in the South Ward as we speak. And then there's what I would call an open architecture. In other words, studios can come in and lease sound stages in Bayonne called 1888 Studios, which, by the way, why 1888? Boom, the year film was invented in Fort Lee.
There you go.
So those are three examples in addition to all the stuff that's getting made here. A Complete Unknown about Bob Dylan was largely made here. Severance, which is one of the rockin' TV shows, is largely made in New Jersey. You go on and on and on. People are filming you and me right now. This will be a hit show.
It sure will. We're going to win
we'll talk
the
about
Emmy.
This for ages. Right? This is an award winner, I can tell.
Yeah, so
anyway, it's been a huge win, and it's a huge economic driver right now.
It truly is. But there are, folk who will ask, we saw, the camera crews out there, West Side Story in our neighborhood. But Governor, what does this mean to me personally?
Yeah, it means a lot. By the way, Spielberg made a big chunk of West Side Story in Patterson and raved about how easy it was to just logistically film in New Jersey. He said this to Tammy the other day. She was on his set. It's money in people's pockets. It's the dry cleaner. It's the diner. It's the deli. It's the local shop, in many cases, mom and pop. It's overall money into the economy. It's pride. Hey, did you know they filmed this scene in West Side Story on my street or in my town? We've got a cool thing that Tammy and others have come up with. It's a little bit like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. It's called Film Ready. You have to basically go to a little bit of a boot camp. DPW, police chief, fire chief, the BA, go into a program. This is what is expected of you if you want to welcome film crews into your town. These are some of the pitfalls to avoid. And you want to make sure there's a buy-in. And then they get this sort of sticker, this moniker, Film Ready. That tends to push down in a way some of the noise that you've seen in other states where people say, oh man, they're on my street again, as opposed to I'm proud of it. It's a pain in the neck. We largely do away with that by making sure these towns understand what they're getting into.
Exactly. They're now educated and they're able to handle any issues or challenges that may arise on set.
They've got a playbook, basically.
Exactly. And her name has been mentioned. She's here in absentia. And I just want to shout out the great First Lady.
Oh, bless her.
of the state of New Jersey.
She's
Tammy
actually
Murphy.
on a film set this afternoon.
All right.
So she's sort of our goodwill ambassador. She'll go out and talk to the producers. How's it going? What do you need? What else should we be doing? And you're very nice to give her a shout out.
Yes, I've witnessed that. I've been on a set with her, and I also just want to shout her out because she was part of the Arts and Culture Recovery Fund after COVID.
Correct.
And I hope everyone's hearing this, she pledged $1 million to kick that fund off. And so now the arts sector is more sustainable. Now, I want to also ask you, we've talked about all this substance, but what are you watching, Gov, and listening to?
That's a great question.
We're talking about, the arts here.
Yeah. Okay, so the first answer is going to be really embarrassing. We're not sure why we missed this, but we think it's because we were living in Europe. I was the U.S. ambassador in Germany. Tammy and I are binge watching Hawaii Five-0 from 2010. I know I don't know if you can,
nice.
If you can hear this out there, if you had a camera here, you'd see it. Rightfully, Tahesha is laughing at me, as she should. We like action stuff, so we like Reacher. We watch a lot of sports. We love music. We're big rock people, I'd say, for the most part. Not exclusively, but we're huge rock and roll fans. So what we're listening to is more likely than not rock. Our kids are almost exclusively rap. All four of them. You and I and Tammy were together with A-Boogie with the hoodie the other day.
Yes, we were.
In Newark to register 16 and 17-year-olds. And our kids couldn't believe that we had A-Boogie with us, who was a great guy, by the way. Bronx product.
Love that.
I'm musical comedy. I guess I come by that naturally, given I did some of that when I was younger, as I mentioned. There's very little that I won't either sit through or listen to. There are probably some exceptions, but that's more than you wanted to know.
No, that's good. It's all good because, I actually laugh, smile because my husband, Charles,
Charles Way,
loves Hawaii 5-0. That's why I was, he likes those styles, that style of.
We're incredibly impressed by it. And we're completely embarrassed. This is 15, we're watching episodes that premiered 15 years ago, but.
Yeah, I know that.
Better late than never.
And I think everybody knows if I'm going to listen to some music, it's going to be Beyonce, and I hope to see her. Queen Bee.
She's coming. Queen Bee's coming to Jersey.
Yes, she's coming.
They have at MetLife. We talked about North to Shore. MetLife has a staggering schedule this spring and summer. Kendrick Lamar and SZA.
I know.
Beyonce.
Yep.
Queen Bee.
Yep.
Oasis reunion if they make it till Labor Day, given how those guys get along. And a lot more big country stuff. And
I know. And then it's back to football season.
Back to football.
Go.
How the Giants going to be?
My husband actually has his own podcast with a former player, Billy Taylor, and it's called The Expressway.
So the athletic, we're getting off the path here, but no one's going to say no. Sports is entertainment, right? It's not arts necessarily,
yes,
it's entertainment.
Yes. Well, last thought.
Yes.
Last question.
Yeah, we have to get to school day. We have to get back.
That's right. What do you hope your arts legacy
Oh, my Lord. How about if I modify the question to our arts legacy, because you've been awesome since day one.
Thank you.
Well, part of it has to be that we leaned into the arts during COVID when most places leaned away. And I think that's got to be part of it. And I guess making the arts, placing it at center stage in both our society and our economy. And then I'd say thirdly, developing, and I hope North to Shore is a big engine on this, developing talent, especially diverse talent, that otherwise may not have been able to get that shot. And that's one of the big reasons why we're doing North to Shore, is to give, it's not just the big shows that you and I were talking about, but it's the community stuff. And that's the case in all three of the cities that are going to host. So those would be I hope North to Shore is going on for, just like South by Southwest, that goes on for decades.
Amen to that.
As opposed to it's our thing. It should be New Jersey's thing. So we'll see.
Well, Governor Phil Murphy, thank you once more for coming on the DOS Way. And all do check out the exciting events happening at the North to Shore Festival this year. Go to northttoshore.com for info. Bye.
Bye-bye.